Are you new to SWTOR? In this episode, we'll talk about the great new player resources that are out there, and then we'll give you our unique spin on the top 10 tips for new players. That and more on this episode of the Escape Podcast for Star Wars The Old Republic. Our broadcast astromech today is EPC 348. And playing alongside me is Seema. Hi, Seema. How's it going?
Hi, Max. Well, it's going pretty well. The Thursday night, we just finished our ops night where we were busy running ops trying to get Emperor's tokens so that we could go back and gamble. So, you and I have actually gambled this year.
Yes, we have.
We did not miss a year of gambling.
For some definition of gambling, yes.
Right, for you, it's a sure thing. For me, I was gambling. Yeah, so we quickly ran EV, and then we came back and gambled with the chips that we got in EV. And then we went and did Taboro's Courtyard, and then came back and did the same thing.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else was what else have I been up to this week? So I did do some swoop racing. I didn't do as much as I wanted to do, but I decided when I knew that I was running out of week in order to get stuff done, I decided to pare down, and I wanted to just do Horizons Razor because that was the speeder that I wanted.
Yeah.
So
Really? Horizons Razor? Not the
yeah,
blatant Bex? That's the one
yes,
I want.
I know, I
Mm.
know. So my plan was I was just gonna run Horizons Razor, but what I ended up doing Horizons Razors and Pit Screamers because that's the easiest way to get the weekly for 6, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of like doing 3 and then coming back the next day and doing 3. So, but what I did was I would run 3 Horizons Razor and then 3 Pit Screamers. So it was kind of cool because then you can pick up all 3 at once, and then as soon as you end a race, you can travel to the next planet. And I like that rhythm better than running back, picking up another quest, then you go get your uh, thing and run the thing. So anyway,
Oh,
it's a
sure.
small thing.
No, that's a
Um,
good plan. I like that.
yeah, so I did that. So I did get to Legend in Horizons Razor, and I got almost to Legend in Pit Screamers. But every time I completed a weekly, because I was doing it on multiple characters, right? Every time I completed a weekly, I would choose the Horizons Razor rep thing. So that's why Horizons Razor was quite a bit ahead of the other two.
Sure.
And then I went and bought so I bought the speeder, but I was on the wrong character. And I didn't want to wait for the time because I couldn't put it in legacy storage, which is what I was going to do because it has a timer on it in case you want to sell it back, right? So I sold it back because I was going to come on my Merc here and buy it again so that I didn't have to wait. And then I forgot. So I actually didn't buy the speeder, but I did get the rep, so I can buy the speeder at the end of this month when it happens again.
Oh, and you can't, those vendors aren't around anywhere, so you can't go and get it somewhere?
Oh, actually, I don't know. Maybe they are, but they aren't on Dantooine anymore where I logged in
That's a good
because I logged
question.
in. That the fleet ones might still be here.
So that's a good question. Most event vendors do show up somewhere else, but not all, and
Yeah,
these ones might not
yeah,
be. So if someone
that's right.
knows if
I would go look, except for you won't summon me back to this cool spot if I
no, my
do.
summon
So
is on a cooldown, and this is a tricky spot that we are at, which I am a fan of getting yourself into tricky
yeah,
spots.
Max is the lord of tricky spots.
Although I do not like platforming in games, and I don't like platforming puzzles, but for whatever reason, if it's not a platforming puzzle that I have to do, I
Right.
I find all
If it's
these reasons to like get
That's right.
into
You do.
weird
You
places.
always want to get on top of things, but not if there's actually something. Not if there's an actual reward for it.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm like a
Right. Like if you were gonna get a datacron or something. No.
no, right. All right. Well,
Right.
uh, me this week. Thank you for asking.
Well, I have more stuff to
Oh,
say,
what did
but
you do?
you know.
Oh wait, what else? What else did you do?
Oh, well, so, then we had MFN this week, which
Oh,
this week is
there.
also our the beginning of our this is our week Summer of Love for AIE, so our MFN this week was a special edition, and we went to the Rishi's Guild Stronghold and did, some, you know, we with the hut ball thing that has set up there, we sort of played a match of hut ball. It was more like a well, anyway, we played hut ball and
Seema did not
then
enjoy it. Let's just put it that
I
way.
know.
It's
Yes, and I
fine.
was
It's
cranky
not for
about it
everybody,
too.
but it's
I
fine.
decided that it's worse when it's your friends than when it's anonymous people.
Huh. Okay. Yeah. Well, it can
Because
feel not good.
there's all this like, "Oh, it's just friends, it'll be fine." But it's like it feels bad when someone's like hunting you down
Yeah.
and trying to make you not succeed. I didn't like it. You're right. But um it's weird. I used to PvP all the time. Is when I was done with it, I guess I was done with it forever. Anyway, so we did that. Fun was had by almost all. And then we went and did a bunch of world bosses. And then at the end of the evening, we had a mount giveaway, which we had a bunch of mounts that have been donated to the guild. And Max set that up so people could just go in a special tab on the guild bank and pick out a mount. And that way, people could get mounts that they didn't already have. So it was worked out. It was smooth. I really love that method of doing it. So that's a little bit about my week. How about you, Max?
Thank you for asking. I
You're
also
welcome.
I also did a little bit. I've probably done some of the least. Well, between us two. No,
Yeah.
just in general, I haven't done all that much swoop racing, but I did the weekly. So I didn't though even cap my rep for the week. So I'm I'm just gonna take it as it comes and do
Yeah.
sort of what feels good. We were doing a whole bunch of stuff for all of the other game events that were going on this week. In fact, we'll even talk about it a little bit in the guild news. I was fine with that. I had fun with what I did. I did enough to do the weekly. I did them on all the planets. In fact, I did the weekly and then the three races for two of the three, but did not finish the third one because I stupidly did not pick up the weekly when I or the
Yeah.
daily for it before I ran their race
Yeah.
the first time. So then I
Mhm.
was two of three by the time I was done with them, and I don't even know which one it was. Actually, it might still be up on my screen. Let me see. Uh, yeah, here. So, Pit Screamers, two of three. It's just gonna sit there in my log,
Oh, that's annoying.
but that's fine. Uh,
If I were you, I would just abandon it now because it's never going to work out right now.
I kind of want to, but maybe I'll just leave it, and then maybe I'll do one if I wasn't doing them on Tuesday morning when I finished up the weekly. I probably would have come back the next day and done it again and done it
Yeah.
the right way. But that's
But
fine.
see, when you come back now, you have to do one
But
and
I
not
could do
two.
like
Not
one on Tuesday and then I could do the weekly on another day later in the week. Who knows? Or maybe I won't. And then maybe if I go another time and I
or
still have an odd number, then I'll
you
abandon
could
it.
do one at 7:50 a.m. and
And
then three more
watch the
at
reset.
after 8, yeah.
I did. Oh, chat room has reminded me that nightlife is still going on.
Yes. Thank you, chat.
Thank you. I did a significant amount of gambling this week. And as Seema says, for me, it's not really gambling. I know exactly what I'm going to get. And it's a big, huge bag of Jack Squat. So that is wonderful.
Poor
Feels really
Max.
good. Feels good. Feels so good. Even today, I'm at the second half of the day. I went through close to 250. It might have been 241, but I thought I even did some kingpin rolls before that. But at least 241 kingpin rolls and did not get a single anything besides a handful of certificates. I didn't get another Emperor's token. I certainly did not get the Rhodian. Uh, so I'm ranting about this a little bit at the start of the ops night, and the rest of my team says, "Oh, well, I'm in the casino right now. Let's put a couple tokens in." How many Rhodians were won? How many, Seema? How many Rhodians were won by our team tonight?
Well, Sten got 2,
Sten got 2,
Thon got
3.
3, and I
You
got 2.
and you got 2.
Yeah. In fact, I would be flaunting my Rodian. In fact, I'm trying to, but he's down
He's
on the
down
other
below.
level.
I can see him down here. I'll focus my camera down there. I see him running around. There he is down there. Seema's companion, the Rhodian. Froho Nure. Homitopi, buddy. So yeah, it is but I what I did is I had some Emperor's tokens, some blue tokens, and some green tokens from doing ops and that kind of thing. On top of those, I bought 1.5 million of green tokens and burned all of those in the slot machines. Then I took all of the blue tokens that I won off of that, rolled those. I did get on Tuesday, I did get some Emperor's tokens and then converted those. Those ended up giving me a bunch more blue tokens. So I've probably run through at least 500 Kingpin tokens also. All told, I needed some certificates anyway, so this is a nice number of certificates. I can get the Gamorrean. I ended up with I did win the Kingpin's Predator, so I can't complain too much. Not that this was really what I was going for. I really wanted the Rhodian, but anyway, this is a big thing. I got the Kingpin's Predator mount. Then beside that, I got 92 gold certificates, 34 cartel market certificates, and 4 of the Vectron Wraith mounts. But yeah, the Kingpin's Predator, that's a big thing. I
Yeah,
can't complain too
I would
much.
like to get that. That's really what I would like.
It's okay. I see. I haven't even clicked it yet because I wanted to just show it in my inventory. But it's okay. I mean, it's a crazy looking mount. It's got a bunch of armor claw things on it. It's unique. It's not just a reskin of something else, so that's kind of nice. So it's a little
Yeah,
bit of
I like
gambling.
it. I like it better than the blatant Bex thing.
Chat room's asking if I used Smuggler's Luck Boost as I was doing the Kingpin tokens. I did for probably 2/3 of them. I was on a ton of conference calls this week. Between just on Tuesday and Thursday, I had 14 conference calls for work. Uh, so it really gets annoying after a while. I'd go over to the green machines. I'd, slot. Fine, I got the luck. You feel lucky. Then go over to the blue machines. Token. You got a certificate, and then the boost goes away. And okay, fine, back over to the green machines. I did that for probably 2/3, and then I ended up just saying, that's enough. And now I'm just gonna just start burning tokens. And that was today, and that was that 250 tokens that I burned through and did not get a single thing besides a certificate.
I did the opposite. I did the conventional way of getting the feeling lucky buff for about 4 times, and then I said no. I had so many Kingpin tokens at that point because you get 50. It's so easy to get 50 of them from an Emperor's token. So
Yeah,
I had a couple of Kingpin tokens, and I knew I was not gonna go and get the feeling lucky buff for all those tokens, and so from the
right.
beginning, I just said, "Nope, I'm gonna do it without the buff."
Yeah, even with that, and even knowing that, I did it for at least a couple hundred kingpin rolls. But I can definitely see just not bothering after that point. Uh, One of the things that was fun is tonight on our ops night, we just did a speed run with 7 people of story mode Eternity Vault and got 3 Emperor's tokens out of that, and then went to the casinos and burned those, as Seema said, and then went to Depor's Courtyard and got another Emperor's token out of that, went to the casinos and burned that. So that's definitely recommended. The Emperor's tokens and then winning the 50 Kingpin tokens off an Emperor's token roll, that is a game changer this year. That is an interesting way to change the dynamic so that you don't have to buy millions of credits, even though I already did millions of credits of green tokens and keep putting them into the machine for hours while you're on a conference call or while you're watching Netflix. So that's the way to go off and do it. So get those Emperor's tokens, get your stacks of Kingpin's tokens, and run them that way. Otherwise, Summer of Love, we'll talk about a little bit on in the guild news. I was doing quite a bit on that, and there's even a little bit. There's one, at least one of the videos is on the New Overlords channel. The rest of them are on the AI Guild channel of things that I was doing earlier in the week, and there's going to be much more coming up next week. But first, let's talk about the news.
Now, an Imperial News Network report.
First up in the news, as we've been doing the last many weeks now, bug track. Bug track, bug tracker, tracking the bugs. Emperor slot machines fixed. That was sort of one of the first things that was fixed. Almost, that might even be have hit last show, but that seems to have stuck. It seems to have worked. I'm happy with that. I have not seen a broken Emperor's machine, so that is good. The only other bug that stuck out to me is that apparently the grass needs to be mowed in the Blood Hunt. Uh, I, I don't know what was there, but there's some sort of comment like, the grass is quite long in Blood Hunt, and the community manager response was, we'll look into this grass situation immediately. Sounds amusing to me. Okay.
It is amusing. I mean, not amusing enough for me to actually go to Blood Hunt and look at the grass,
No, you do
apparently.
not want to casually. One does not simply walk into Blood Hunt. It is one of the more difficult. Are you a new player? Is this, this is our new player episode. Blood Hunt, when you get there, that is one of the more difficult flashpoints in the game. So do not start with Blood Hunt.
So let's see what else. Small yield invasion target for Swoop Gang Mayhem. So there was a post this week about people had complained that there's no small target during the Swoop Gang Mayhem Conquest event week, and they are going to not only switch it up so that there will be a small one starting with the Swoop Gang Mayhem event on September 22nd, the one that starts on September 22nd. But in the longer term, they're going to switch it up so that some planets that we're used to thinking of, this planet is always large, this planet is always medium, this planet is always small. They're going to shake that up, and maybe a planet that's usually large will be small this week, and vice versa. So I think that's great.
Yeah, they're gonna shake it like a Polaroid picture, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, because that'll give us,
Maybe.
I don't know, maybe, probably
Yeah.
not, but
So I'm interested in the sound of that. We'll have to see how it manifests. What I would be most interested in is more planets per week. In fact, I would love all
yeah.
the planets every week. What the situation that we're in now is, on Starforge, Sanctuary always wins the planet that they decide that they're going to win. So here's this week, the large planet is Alderaan. Spear of Coruscant started to get a little a little bold and said,
A little frisky.
we're going to go up against Sanctuary here. Yeah, don't even think about it. I meant I'm not going to get into it. It's not there. There's no exploiting that's going on. There's just optimal use of the game mechanics. But
Right.
both of these
That's the
guilds are
game
up to
that's
170 and 190 million conquest points for the guild.
the game that they're playing, and
Right.
that's how they like to play.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, some of it I still think BioWare could fixed. Yeah, like running an operation, killing all the bosses except the last boss, and then cycling every character in the guild through that operation so that you can get all those, credit for completing the operation just because you killed the last boss really quickly every day, and scheduling that as a guild event. I know it's not an exploit, but it's not the spirit of the system.
But even if they made that particular gambit not pay, Sanctuary would still win
Sanctuary would
whatever they
still
want
win,
to.
but
Yeah.
it would be reasonable, and it wouldn't look like this. It wouldn't look like 191 and then average of 20 million is what most guilds who are trying really hard to get. But that's fine, and I don't begrudge them that. What I do sort of not begrudge, but the deal is, if you want the Conqueror's meta achievement, if you want to win planets on Starforge, well then you buckle down, you get a character, and you sign up to be part of Sanctuary, and you do the Sanctuary things, and you put your character in, and then you can contribute to Sanctuary. That's the only way. There's not another way. So there's not an opportunity for people, for guilds to think that they're going to go off and win every to eventually win every planet, unless maybe you want to take you know 7 years and eventually find the one time that's Sanctuary's not winning that one planet that you need that week. But that's the way people do it. They put a character into Sanctuary, and Sanctuary designed their guild around that, and that's the way that is. If all the planets existed on this list every week, well, even a guild as our size, mediumish size guild, could be winning planets, once every couple weeks. We could go after a bunch of planets, and maybe it's not enough that we're going to get every planet we need, and maybe it will still take us a long time. But right now, we've won 3 planets in the last, 4 years or 5 years since this started. We only win planets on Total Galactic War, which is when all the planets exist, because that's what you can do. So that would make it interesting. So that's that. And I know we've got a lot to talk about, and then I'm going to move on. But that was my little discussion as far as that goes. So yeah, I'm interested to see where they go from there too. Also up in the news, finally, just all the events are still continuing to run. We just finished last week the swoop. Next week we'll start Bounty Contract. We'll get another Pirate Incursion on the 25th. And then swoop will be coming back once a month. So we'll get to see it again probably then by the 2nd or 3rd week in September. In guild and community news, this is our big guild event week for the year. It's our biggest guild event week for the year. We do events in all of our divisions, all of our game divisions throughout the year, but this is what we've been calling it for 11 years now, our Summer of Love event week. It started just in World of Warcraft when we were only World of Warcraft 11, 12 years ago. Now we are doing it in, I think, 8 or 9 or 10 games. August 2nd is our Guild Remembrance Day, and that started 12 years ago, and that was the year a key guildie at the time, and a young but very large but still young guild passed away, and it was a shock, and it was a shock in a lot of ways to a lot of people. And what ended up happening was some spontaneous in-game memorial kinds of things, and that spawned into something we do every year where we have a talk, we have a little bit of a ceremony, we have in-game memorials. And this year I did record and stream it very, quite serious. So it's definitely not for everybody, but it's something that's important to a lot of people in our guild. And I showed memorials happening, I think, in at least 7 of the games that we had going on, and was able to pop into those during that event. So that was interesting. And then throughout the rest of the week, tons of things going on. We had our big guild mega mandatory fun night on Tuesday. Star Wars has another event on Friday for AIE. That's tomorrow or today if you're just getting this podcast off the feeds. And that's going to be a Flashpoint plus Fashion Friday. So there's going to be a little bit of a outfit designer contest while we're running flashpoints for one of the Aerotech mounts. Is it the Aerotech Night Scythe, or it's the blue, I think. No, not the coral. It's one of the Aerotech Ice. Whatever you want, we have to run Master Mode flashpoints.
Right.
But then I think there's like 8 more events across all of our divisions in the next 3 days, and it's going to wrap up on Sunday with a World Warcraft Classic event and a Star Trek Online event on Sunday. So check it out. Really cool. Come join AIE. There, if you're new to Star Wars: The Old Republic, that's your tip number 1. Come join AIE. What else do we got, Seema, guild news?
Well, I want to mention that one of our ops teams, Where's the Cantina, is in the market for a full-time DPS. So if you're interested in running on the pub site on Sunday nights, they run from 8:30 p.m. Eastern to 10:30 p.m. since it's a school night. Yeah, so they're looking for a DPS.
Sweet. Yeah. So if you need an ops team, we've got 6, I think, running weekly. We also need subs quite often, so get your name out there. Just pipe up in Discord and say, hey, if anybody needs a sub this week, I've got this time available. Let us know, because we'll pull you in. In fact, we pulled in someone new to the guild on our Thursday run last week, didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah. So if you think you might want to run ops on Sunday nights, contact Spicoli on Discord, or really just hop into Discord and say, where do I sign up, and somebody can point you where to go.
Spicoli, Mr.
Spicoli.
Hand. That's a reference.
Yeah.
Do you know that reference?
Well, only because you've mentioned it
Oh,
before.
there we go.
Fast Times at Ridgemont High,
Fast
right?
Times at Ridgemont High. There you go.
Yeah, I need to watch that
Well
movie.
played. Well, you don't really need to watch that movie, but I
Oh,
don't know
okay.
if that movie holds up. Also, just a shout out, it may even still be going on right now, but there was an event today on Starforge. Sith Lord Brit was running a Stronghold contest. If you missed it, have no worries. She runs it relatively often, maybe every month or so. Dress up your Stronghold, submit it to the contest. You could be a winner, and check out Sith Lord Brit on Twitch, SithLord_Brit. Same thing on Twitter. Really, really fun co-creator of ours that we like to hang out with from time to time.
We have a couple of guildies who, as a result of Isaiah, had pretty serious power outages. One of them is Corley, who still doesn't have power back, and he was disappointed to have missed the contest.
Yes, because he had decorated his stronghold in
Yeah,
some dramatic
so I'm glad
fashion.
that there's going to be more.
Speaking of guildies, tell me about B. Kavanaugh, one of our officers, Seema.
So BC has republished his conquest calculator with all the new stuff in it. So it's pinned in our AIE Discord how to get there. So come and check it out. It's basically a tool that you can use to plan out your conquest activities.
Yeah, it's spectacular. It's well known around the web outside of AIE. It was posted on Reddit. It is a really nice spreadsheet that allows you to understand what all the point totals are, what's repeatable and what's not, and then it say you want to run conquest. I want to hit my conquest target on 6 characters this week. Well, you can like line them all up, decide what you're going to do on what days, and it will calculate it all out for you and say, "Well, do these things and these things, and you're done."
Yeah.
Well
you can
done.
copy it down and get your own copy of it so that you can make fill in the fields and stuff, and then you can keep track of what you're doing during the week. Not so that you can move through your 6 characters in a fashion without having to stress out about, wait, did I do this yet on this guy? Wait, have I done my invasion force yet today?
Right. And of course, shout out to the chat room. Thank you all for being around, hanging out, telling us helping us seem smart by giving us the answers, whispering them to us. Although I guess it's recorded up there on the screen, so people know that we we are cheating. But we really appreciate it, and we will catch all of you in the post show. We always do a pre-show and a post show. We have the chat room and the stream open, so come check that out in the future as well. With that, we did want to talk about some tips for new players, and that kind of knowledge in Star Wars is always contained in some tomb captured in a holocron somewhere like this.
Deep in the ancient, monster-infested tomb of Marka Ragnos, there is a holocron filled with dark secrets and encased in a great stone monument.
Yes, and if you can never not figure out how to open a holocron, you shoot lightning at it. You don't try to puzzle it out.
That's always the answer.
You don't even like read the instructions that are sitting right there on the nameplate because apparently Sith sorcerers never learned to read. You get ragey and angry and you shoot lightning at it and magically pops open because in the 1,000 years that holocron sat there, no other Sith sorcerer ever thought to shoot lightning at it. You'll get to that in the story. What we're going to talk about here. So last week we talked about top 10 tips for people returning to the game. They knew they'd rolled characters before. They sort of got it. They got what Star Wars was all about. What we're talking about tonight is our spin on top tips for new players, people new to the game. This is not a comprehensive guide. In fact, our first thing that we're going to talk about is where you can find some really good guides if you want all of everything about, here's the fundamentals. SWTOR, for example, has a channel that's filled with videos, and some of them start at the very beginning. Like the very first ones, it says, "Hey, are you new to Star Wars: The Old Republic? Let's talk about it." It's an MMO. Here's what MMO means. Here's what we mean by multiplayer, massively multiplayer online game. Here's what you can expect. Here's what an ability is. So we're gonna go a little bit beyond that and just talk about some of our spin with with some understanding of how MMOs work in general. Give you some of our guidance, how this is sort of different from some MMOs and our tips around it. Um, but definitely, tip number one, and I'll kick it off with this. There are great content creators out there. The content creator community for Star Wars is really strong. A lot of really good people putting together their own well-crafted content. SWTOR, I would say, is one of the top of the top for both videos and written guides on swotorista.com and YouTube/swotorista. Uh, any kind of topic you could imagine you wanting to know about. How does crafting work? How do I get into PvP? Tell me about gear. Tell me about the spec I should choose for yada yada yada. I bet she's got a guide on it. It's SWTOR Academy is how she's framed that. So that is a great one. I know you've got a couple favorites, Seema. What is some of your favorites in terms of some of the guides and the sort of
So
the collections that you go after?
the two that I really like. I really like MMO bits because everything she writes there is very concise and it's a fantastic reference. When you want to look up something, she always gets right to the point. She illustrates with pictures. Um, it's it's yeah, I really like MMO bits. And then there's another site that I like. If you want to read about how to play your class, I love this site for that. It's called Merlin's SWTOR Guides. And it's Merlin spelled like King Arthur's Merlin, Merlyn. And he writes them from the point of view of like he's played every one of them. And he says, this is how I like to do this, and I'll change it when I do this. And it it educates you about your class, but it's also concise, and it gives you choices and options. But if you're starting a class out and you don't know how to play it, it's a great place to start. His guides are a great place to start.
Yeah, yeah, and Merlin's doesn't get talked about too much. I feel
No.
like Zamzam and MMO Bits has been on the launcher. Swotorista has been on the launcher and a bunch of other places. But yeah, that Merlin's guides are really good. Couple of the other top ones, Vulk,
Yep.
VULKK, you can look up. He does a lot of stuff and sort of a lot of some standard cool guides. Uh, SWTOR Central's got some written stuff. Intisar on This Week in Arabesh has
I
got some
love
written
Indistar's
stuff.
blog.
He does some really good stuff. And um then there's the stuff around that's like the podcast. Sorry, I was getting distracted there by the chat room. My
I was wondering what you
is
were
my voice
going.
going in and out? Well, anyway, I will speak up a bit in the post processing. It always comes out good because I have special tools. Then anyway, there are some podcasts like what do we got? So yeah, here's a tip. Go check out the previous 347 episodes of the SWTOR SK podcast. No, do not do that. But you can check out some other cool podcasts like Working Class Nerds podcast, Utinicast, the oldest still running podcast for Star Wars: The Old Republic. So Kitty and Chill, who's been doing it since the very beginning, are brilliant. So that's a really good one. State of the Old Republic. I don't think they've done a podcast in a while, but that was another good podcast. And then there's tons of great streamers. So go check out the streamer community as well. Tons of great streamers out there. I'm popping in and out. We already talked about Sith Lord Brit as an example. That's a fun thing to watch as you go along as well. It's not really new player guides, although they'll answer questions and stuff you get in the chat rooms. All right, so that's number one. Now let's get down into a little bit more of what you should do. First one so number two that I thought would be really interesting just to mention, and is something that people ask relatively quickly, is should I play it? I heard it's free to play. Should I just play it free? Should I pay? You can certainly play free, and it's really good as a free to play game, especially if you're brand new to just play through the stories. However, our unique spin, my unique spin, and Seema, you can you can debate me on this if you want, but I would say sub for 1 month. That's my recommendation.
Yeah, I'm
Sub
not
for
going to argue with you there.
sub for 1 month. It's you're gonna pay $14.99 or whatever for 1 month. That's gonna get you. Then once you do that, all expansions in the game since launch all get unlocked for you permanently. You also then
I mean,
become permanently
it's
preferred.
literally hundreds of hours of content
Yeah,
for
yeah,
15
yeah.
bucks.
At least we've been playing it for 8 years or 7 years now. So 8 years, yeah, at least 8 years, going on 9. Uh, Tons and tons of content. And if you pay any money, if you pay at least $5, so if you bought some cartel coins to do some unlocks or something, because you didn't want it to just be free to play, as soon as you spend at least $5 and subbing for 1 month would get you there, then you are permanently at the preferred status forever. And even if you never pay another dollar again, you stay at that preferred status forever, which gives you extra abilities. It gives you some extra bars. It gives you some extra storage space. Doesn't give you everything you might want, but it gets you a little bit of the way there. What that also gets you is some cartel coins. If you sub for 1 month, you'll get 1 month's worth of cartel coins, which I think is about 500 coins. And then I'd recommend as part of that, put two-factor authentication on your account during that month, and you will get an extra 100 coins per month forever. Even then, again, if you stop subscribing, keeping that two-factor authentication on your account gives you extra 100 cartel coins forever, even if you never pay another dollar ever again. Which brings us to what are cartel coins? That's their sort of their cash shop. I would
Hmm.
save those coins then for if you are planning on going preferred, for some of the unlocks that you might get to when you go preferred. And we're not going to go into deep into that and what those unlocks are. Like you might want to unlock the ability to have a little more storage tabs or something like that. But um, uh, not technically forever, Sir Galahad. I mean, are you talking about like Heat Death at the Universe? or when they shut down the game for a long, long time. But save those. I would recommend saving those coins if you think that you're going to go free, and use it then to unlock anything that feels annoying to you. And then once you get all those things done, then you can use it to buy like fun cosmetic stuff, because that's mostly what the cash shop is for at that
Right.
point. So do you don't disagree with me on that one, Seema?
I don't. I would say sub for a month. I mean, I sub all the time. But yes, subbing for a month is a great way to start, I think.
Yeah, or sub for 9 years like we have. Whatever the case may
Yes,
be.
right, right.
I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm
or
not going to make that tip
anything in
number one
between.
for a new player. First, sub for 9 years. Then, once that's
Right.
done, you can start playing in the game. Tip number 2. You want to take this one? I don't know if
Yeah.
I agree with this one,
So
so maybe I'll
t-
debate you.
yeah, so we put down here join AIE or join a guild, but I'd say
Yes,
just join AIE. You might as well just join AIE.
might as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who ask if a guild is really worth it, and you'll hear a lot of people on the fleet say that you don't need to join a guild in this game, blah 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 blah, which is technically true, but it's just so much nicer if you're in a guild, especially people that are that are talkative. They feel like you're part of the group. It doesn't mean you're going to do group content together all the time. You might still, because this game has a really strong solo component, so you might still be playing solo a lot, but at least you can comment in guild chat and Discord and have company. And then there's some perks too, but really the perks to me are not the main reason.
No, the perks are not. But until you learn what it means to be part of a guild, uh, um, the perks might sound like the reason to, and some of them are relatively significant, like 15% XP bonus, 15% on reputation. They're significant.
Mm,
Plus, if you've got an established guild that you find, they might have some of these extra perks that they can pick and choose that then become available to you. Like we've got this ability for all your crew skills to be increased by 5% for 1 hour if you use this special professional training ability. So it's not insignificant. We also have the guild
I,
ship, and we've got a bunch of services on the guild ship that you can use, like the Legacy Bank and the appearance modification station. You can have an easy place to go use that stuff. So that's a reason. And what were you going to say, Seema?
well, I was just going to say, I mean, those perks are nice, but I mean, if you if you want to do the achievements for conquest, then go join, like we were saying, go join Sanctuary.
Right, right. And there's guild there if as you get into it. So I would the recommendation would be find a guild that sort of caters to, and there's plenty that do cater to new players coming into the game. Once you get established, and if you want to go after something in particular, like if you want to go after ranked PvP, we have a couple ranked PvPers in AIE. You could just hook up with them and do some interesting things. If you want like a hardcore ranked where there's a bunch of ranked teams to choose from and a bunch of ranked PvPers who are always doing ranked PvP, there's guilds dedicated to that. You could go find
Right.
that, or yeah, you could go to Sanctuary with Sanctuary if you just want to dedicate yourself to conquest. That's a good reason to do it too. But I think the main reason is having a guild, especially as a new player, gives you an opportunity to ask a bunch of questions and have people that are around to like pull you into some stuff. I mean, we run our Tuesday night every Tuesday night from 8 to 10 Central is an open guild night, and a lot of guilds do this stuff. So we're just using ours as an example, which is a really good example. So again, come join AIE. But find the guilds that do this kind of thing where it's open activities. Some of it even works out for lower level people, and we'll pull you along and we'll tell you what you need to do, and you don't even need to have like any skill or gear. We're happy to have you join. If we do if you are a higher level and we pull you into an ops night on a Tuesday night, we encourage everyone to watch all the cutscenes and enjoy the content along the way. We're not rushing anyone through it. We explain everything if you need it, and if you die, we'll pick you up off the floor. It's a great way to get into the game. And then our Discord is lively at any hour of the day, and we love having people come in there and ask questions. Ask anybody. All of us in AI really like new players to come along. I love telling the story of every operation that we go into. First thing we ask is, has anyone ever been here before? And if somebody says, well, yeah, I've never been to Karaga's Palace before. What is our answer? Awesome.
Yay!
All right, here we go. Let me tell you what's going on. First, there was the Dreadmasters. And would you on Belsavis, or you were on Belsavis, weren't you? You released the Dreadmasters. This is the havoc that you wreaked on the universe. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's what a guild is for.
It's maybe not that dramatic, but yes.
It is. It's that dramatic. All right. Now let's get down into some of the more nitty gritty. Now you've got the game, you got the guild. There's a bunch of classes. You're gonna have to pick a class. There's the core of SWTOR is really around the class stories. You can do some research into what each of the classes are. There's 4 base classes on each side, and they're mirrors. So even though they're called something a little bit different, there's a mercenary on the Imperial side. It's the exact same thing as a commando on the Republic side. Pretty close. They use a slightly different weapon, but all their abilities are exactly the same. For each of those base classes, there's an advanced class, and you're going to pick your advanced class these days right off. So you can think of it as like 8 classes on each side. There's force users and there's pew-pewers. There's two non-force users and there's 2 force users of any of the groups. Oh, look, somebody got up into our little perch up here, Seema.
Oh,
Somebody made it up here. How did he get here? Are we by one of the lights? No, I don't know. I think he might have hollow traversed to us. Anyway, I would recommend. So here's our unique spin on this. Find something that looks cool and fun to you. If it looks cool to be running around with 2 lightsabers and whacking on things, do it. Pick a marauder. If it looks cool to be the to be the force healer, the Jedi force healer, pick a sage. If it looks cool to be what Seema and I here, we're mercenaries out for hire. Well, pick a mercenary. Um, there will be a little bit of a pivot if you really want to make sure that you can either heal or tank. There are a limited number of the classes that can heal or tank. Every class has a DPS spec, and for your first class, I would recommend DPSing while you level. Just go DPS. It doesn't matter which of the DPS specifications. I would say in general, that's what I would recommend you go and do. But yeah, go for it for story, because the next tip is going to be about playing the story. But find something that looks cool. That would be my recommendation. What
And
do
I
you?
would just add on to that. It's just like, don't sweat this decision, because
No.
it's it's very typical that
How many
whatever class.
how many characters do you have on this server alone, Seema?
Yeah, I mean a bunch, but it's very typical that that people will play through all the class stories.
Mm-hmm.
And my first character was a scoundrel because I liked the whole, having two blasters and rolling around and hiding behind things and shooting and stealthing, all that stuff. That didn't turn out to be my love, though.
Right.
That was my first character, but I had fun with it. But I almost, then I switched to a sage, and then I played that for a very long time. So yeah, just pick a class that sounds fun. Don't worry about it being the right decision, though. Just go for it.
Absolutely. But do pick DPS. Trying to on your very first class, trying to level as a tank or a healer is a little bit more difficult, especially some of the ways Star Wars works. You can certainly do it, but you have to be a little bit more experienced. So I'd say go DPS. And then also there's the Imperial side and the Republic side, which are two factions. You're gonna have to pick one. Uh, like AIE, we have a guild on each side. They don't cross over. And it's like you can't group with the opposite faction people, but like our guild has people on both sides, and we do events on both sides and group up on both sides. That's different than, and don't get confused about dark versus light in Star Wars. So just ignore dark versus light until you sort of get into it. Dark versus light is just more of like an RP story kind of thing. And you can have like a dark side Jedi, and you can have a light side Sith. So some people get confused about, wait, aren't I dark side? No, you're Imperial. You can be dark or light. That's a different thing. You don't have to worry about it. But yeah, you're gonna get, so pick your class, make it DPS. You're gonna get abilities every level. Train your abilities as you go. Just learn them as you go. You don't even have to fight very effectively as you level in Star Wars. The content is relatively tame for new
It's right.
players.
It's tuned so
In-
that you can pay attention to the story. You don't
to
have to
pay
be
attention to the story.
an ace. Yeah, you don't have to be an ace combatter.
Speaking of story, that's our next tip. Play the story, especially as a new player. This is how, forever, until the heat death of the universe or until Star Wars The Old Republic shuts down, whichever comes first. That's the asterisk now that you can put next to every time I say forever. Thank you, chat room. Thank you, Zen. Next tip, play the story. So the huge strength of Star Wars The Old Republic is the class stories in particular. But there's more than just class stories, but definitely play the class story. The way you can tell what your class story is, if you look in your quest log, you look in your mission log, there'll be the things that are lit up purple. That's the story. That's the core story that you're on. If you use the little galactic hint tip thing that is now part of the UI, I forgot what that's called.
What is that? Galactic Guide?
Galactic Guide. I think it's called Galactic Guide. This pops up. This window pops up as soon as you log into your characters anymore these days. The top thing that's in purple is telling you, hey, this is the next thing you should do. So it's difficult to get lost. Play that story. You're going to level up just by playing that class story. You're going to learn the story of your class. Every cutscene, every quest and mission you go and take, they're fully voiced and acted. It's some of the best cinematic versions of the core in-game content, I think, even now still, of any MMO on the market. I think, and people, it's that's certainly debatable, and people can have a differing opinion. But I look at something even as beautiful as Final Fantasy. Um, I think that the class stories, even the 9-year-old class stories in Star Wars, are constructed better and voiced better and acted better in Star Wars than they are in Final Fantasy. That's just my opinion.
When we started our first new characters, we didn't have we couldn't level on just the class story. We had to do also planetary storylines. There wasn't enough XP gained from just the class story. So I I I really think my advice is to go and play just the class story, because you get the continuity of it. You're not like stopping the class story to go do a different
To
storyline.
solve some other problem that's unrelated. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good tip.
Right. I mean, you can absolutely play it that way, because nothing's, but I would say for me, when I start a new character now, I always want to play the class story or the planet. I mean, I don't like to mix them because I don't have to.
Right. Right. So play that class story as you progress, or as you get done with that character, or even as your max level 75, you can go back and play the other kinds of stories that are out there, which are planetary stories. Each expansion has extensive stories associated with it. There's the Shadow of Revan, which is a whole amazing story if you're familiar with Revan at all from the history of the Old Republic and the Knights of the Old Republic, old Knights of the Old Republic games. You get a whole story about Revan, and is Revan back or not? Spoiler, I don't know. We'll have to find out. You get Rise of the Heart Cartel. You get Knights of the Fallen Empire, Knights of the Eternal Throne, a bunch of the stuff with the Dread Masters. Just these amazing stories that you can go through. Every flashpoint, which is sort of like dungeon content, 4-person content, each flashpoint has its own story. Um, quick side tip: flashpoints, although they might be part of your class story journey along the way, you don't have to play them. There's other games that force you to do group content in order to sort of progress your core story. That's not the way it works in Star Wars. So if you don't get to those, that's fine. You're not going to miss all that much. They're sort of like a little side piece of what's going on in that core story. You're not missing part of your core story by not doing it.
Yeah, you'll be able
Um,
to do it later.
yeah, but they're great if you do manage to grab some people and go and do it, or you know or you do try to go in there and do it solo, which you can do a lot of them
Well,
solo because they give you
yeah.
this magical extra companion droid that like kills everything. Do them. That's because they're
Yeah,
because they're again they're really cool
They did
stories.
make a solo version of a lot of the flashpoints. In fact, all the ones that have any effect on your class story, there are solo versions of them, so you can definitely run through them.
Yeah. The first two flashpoints in the game, the first one on each side, Black Talon on the Imperial side and Asalus on the Republic side, I would say those are some of the best group content in the game, which now you can play solo also. But it's just, again, in terms of story and acting, some amazing characters that they introduce. So not to be missed ultimately, but you don't have to do it right away if you don't want to. So I just sort of mentioned something there in passing, this amazing droid that they give you in the story mode content. But that idea of a helper, why don't you explain what kind of helpers that we get in Star Wars, Seema?
Okay. So in Star Wars, in this game, we get companions, and it's different from uh, fighting pets and stuff from other games, because they every character gets them. You always take them with you into combat. Only time you don't take them around with you is in some types of group content. Um, but your companion actually does a substantial amount of the fight with you. So you truly are companions with each other. The companions also play a part in your class story,
This is a
and
mistake.
the companions actually, as you interact with them in quests, they gain influence, and when you give them gifts, actually that's when they gain the most influence, and influence is how their power in fighting is, or if healing is determined. So the more influence they have, up to 50 ranks of influence, the stronger and stronger they get.
Yeah. Yeah, they're nearly as powerful as having a friend come along and play the game with you.
Yeah.
So it's much more so than just like a pet. It's much more so than like some of the kind of companions you get in some other MMOs, and you can set them. So like here, I've got you know, two things. One, Seema said, when you start out, you'll have 0. At level 1, you'll have 0 companions. By the end of the first planet, you'll get your first companion, and it is part of the story. It's someone you meet along the way, and they say, "Hey, you're pretty cool. But can I tag along?" And then they do. So having them be there as part of the story like that is really cool, and you'll sort of make a connection with some of these companions as you go along. Um, as everything progresses down the road, here I am at level 75. I have I have uh, near tens of companions that I can
Right.
choose from.
Right. We have a lot of companions now.
Companions down the road end up being very interchangeable. There's minor differences in sort of how they operate. It's mostly which ones are melee versus ranged, and a couple might have a little bit of a special ability, but it's very minor. Like here, I like to use Shea Vizsla because she's a ranged companion instead of melee, and she has this nice death from above little AOE. But most companions have some sort of AOE. Sometimes you'd prefer a melee versus ranged. The main thing about the companions is here I can roll selector. I can make her a healer, a tank, or DPS. We recommended you roll DPS. That was our spin on picking your first character. My recommendation for the companion is set your companion to healer, and now they'll do a little bit of DPS still for you, and they'll do some like stunning and CCing if you've got like other fighting multiple mobs. I mean, that's amazing that a companion AI would do that for you. But set it to healer, and you'll never die, in most cases, unless your Rhodian climbed up here.
Oh,
Oh,
sweet.
now he jumped back down again.
Dang it.
Now he went up the elevator. he's up in the VIP lounge. He's all the way up there.
Well, he is a VIP.
He
He
is
told
a
me.
VIP. He's got a special story associated with him. But yeah, so set your companion to 50, to healer. Um, uh, Influence is like a multiplier. They'll level with you as whatever level you are is what level they are, but the influence will make them more powerful along the way. You don't need to worry about influence, but the higher influence they are, the even more powerful and more helpful they are. You'll get to that eventually. Okay. Now we get to the sort of the second half of recommendations in our spin, which is we've sort of given you the core. That's what you need to worry about. Here's what you don't need to worry about. A lot of people would ask, or a lot of people would care about this, or a lot of people would be thinking about this as they're leveling up a character. I tend to do this in games quite a bit, and I've learned over times in MMOs not to. But like first one, money, credits. Credits is the in-game currency. Should I be like grinding out some credits? So I need some extra credits. Oh, look, I got 20 credits off of this mission. Maybe I should run this. Maybe I should just stay here and I'll run this mission a few times because then I'll have like 60 credits instead of 20 credits. That'll be really good, right? I can use that while I'm leveling up. No.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Anything you feel like is a lot of credits until you hit level 75, I guarantee is not. You'll early on, you'll think like 1,000 credits, and then 10,000 credits. You'll think, wow, I've got like 10,000 credits now. I and Seema now have over 1 billion credits. So
Yeah.
don't worry about it. You don't need them. It's not very useful. You'll use a little bit along the way, maybe to do a couple things if you need to repair your gear or something, but don't worry about it. Don't worry
Right.
about it.
You don't have to pay to train. You don't have to spend a lot of credits for anything really. So don't worry about credits.
Not at all.
Once you, and not only that, you might make your 10,000 credits and spend it on something really cool, and then find out that there's 100 things cooler.
Right. Or you
So
might
just
spend it on, you might spend it on some gear upgrades because you think you need it, and maybe you do, maybe you don't. And then you might feel really poor, but you're not. Again, do whatever you want with them. Burn them. It's buy stuff, buy gear if you feel like it, if it feels fun. We're gonna talk about that in just a second. How you don't need to do that, but do what you want. Don't worry about it. So yeah, next thing. What else should they not worry about, Seema?
don't worry about gear.
There you go.
I mean, equip upgrades as they come to you, but don't don't worry about it. Like if you look at your gear and you go, "Wow, I haven't upgraded my boots in a long time. They're too low level. I better go buy some boots." Really, you really don't need to. The way the planetary sync works in this game, your your stats will keep up with your location. So whatever gear you're wearing will be fine. There's
Yes.
plenty of time to worry about gear when you get to level 75.
Yes.
That's when the gear game starts.
We
While
have
you're leveling, just wear whatever you have.
it's a little bit trickier, it's a little bit more challenging, but we've proven you could level up to 75 completely naked except for a weapon.
Yes, right. Yeah, you do need a weapon because some attacks don't work without a
Right.
weapon.
Some of your stuff doesn't even work. You can't even use some of your abilities. Um,
Right.
but yeah, so again, another thing to not worry about. If you feel like you kind of want to worry about it because you want to maybe do some group content with want to do some of those flashpoints as you're leveling up, and it's kind of hard to do some of them. Every 10 levels on the fleet. So here I'm on the fleet right now. So if you look at the fleet map, there's a quarter of the fleet that says supplies. In the supplies bays on the outer ring of the fleet, on either side, every 10 levels, there's another vendor that'll sell you the level 20 gear, the level 30 gear, the level 40 gear. And there's two ways to buy the gear. Again, don't worry about it, but if you start getting into it, um, the way gear works at endgame is you get an empty shell and you put in the mods and enhancements that are the level that you want. The shells can stay with you through any level. You're switching out the mods and enhancements. You'll get that a little bit along the way. They'll teach you that in the class story. When you get your first weapon, they'll give you a mod that you're supposed to shove into it. It's a nice way to have like set bonuses that you can carry between levels and things like that. But you can go and get some of that along the way if you really feel like it. If you don't, or if you don't want to look it up or don't want to go to a guide that really tells you sort of about how the gear works, that's fine. Don't. The other final thing about gear is if you are concerned, and this is the real concern with gear, I feel
Right.
in every game,
Yes.
if you don't
Yes.
want to look like a clown, if you don't,
If
I
you
mean,
want to
like,
look,
what even,
I would rather look good than to be good.
in fact, I don't even know what my actual gear looks like. No, that's not what it looks like. What is my, oh, it's actually not that bad. This is what, and I had no idea. I had no idea what my actual gear looks like. This is what my actual gear looks like. It's not too bad. What even is this? This is the concentrated fire gear set. This is pretty good. Oh, maybe I should wear that sometimes. I like the right shoulder. That looks kind of cool. Wow. Anyway,
Yeah.
if you're
Yeah.
mixing and matching pieces, that's what I call the clown suit in every MMO. Um, that that can look crazy. There's a nice system you can look up a guide on, which is the outfit designer. You get one of the outfit tabs for free, and you can put the appearance of any piece of gear into that tab and set up an outfit that you like, and then that's what shows up on your character, except for your weapons. But that's the armor that shows up on your character, no matter what you equip or unequip. So you could run around with no gear on, so effectively naked, but look like like here. Look. Why can I not activate this? There, activate that. Why can I not activate this one? There, no. I can look like this really cool bounty hunter, but actually be naked. And in some ways,
Right.
that's a downside because I have gone in, for like our group ops night and not. I forgot that I moved all my gear and did something else with it, and I am actually naked, even though I look like I'm not. But
So
yeah,
one thing I like to do with brand new characters to sort of stave off the clown suit that's coming, even if I don't feel like shopping around for the perfect outfit yet, is I'll take the newbie gear that gets created with you and move that into an outfit because that
yeah,
is usually pretty consistent, cohesive set. It's it's a beginner. It's not like,
No, but it's got the
but I like
character of
it.
your class.
Yeah.
It looks like, if you're a mercenary, it looks like you're a mercenary. If you're a Jedi, it looks like you're a Jedi. Yeah, no,
Yeah, scoundrel.
that's
Yeah.
a really good one, Seema. I like that. Um, one other thing then that you should this is I'd say I'm on the fence of this because this is going to get to our last thing that you could worry about if you want to play with it, but professions. Certainly not something you need to worry about. In fact, I'd recommend not dealing with professions until you get to max level because then you'll have a lot of companions, and companions are key to professions like armor crafting or crafting weapons. What I usually do profession wise is I take gathering professions. There's 4 gathering professions in the game. You can only take 3, but I just randomly pick up 3 of them. And as you see stuff that you can like gather up along the way, gather it. It's not going to be all that useful necessarily, but you'll feel like you're doing something and you're picking up stuff, and that's interesting. The thing I would avoid is, I even fell into this trap from time to time, and I still do in some games. Oh, I'm level 30. I see like this profession. I could make this like level 30 gear for my character. All right, let me spend like 10 hours leveling up the profession and gathering all the materials, and now I've got this. We already told you the gear doesn't matter. So, but
Right.
I've done that. It can be really fun. If you want to do it for fun, go ahead. But crafting doesn't matter until max level, except in special circumstances. So I would recommend that'd be another thing that you don't really need to worry
I mean,
about.
it's another thing where you won't get behind if you don't do it. So
Right.
wait until you feel like doing it or the pull comes. You don't have to like rush into it. And it's in SWTOR crafting is a fairly complex system, and it's easy to spend a lot of credits and not end up doing what you thought you were doing. So I would say just think about it later.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm saying, so chat room, yes, fine. I'm saying professions. In Star Wars, those are called crew skills. Yes. And there are 3 types. Again, this isn't the comprehensive guide. You can look it up. There's the crafting crew skills, there's the gathering crew skills, and there's the mission crew skills. And each one is tuned to a different way. Sir
Yeah.
Galahad is
Take
helping me use the right vocabulary for new
take
players. Again,
take
this
the
is new players.
yeah, take the gathering skills.
Take the gathering, leave the gun, take the cannoli and gather it. And that leads to our last one, our last tip, which is there is a ton more depth and a bunch more systems. And all of these I've marked as go off and experiment with these if you feel like it. So let's run through a few of these. Your favorite right now, well, your
The top
second
2.
favorite, the top 2,
Yeah.
PvP.
Yeah.
Extensive PvP um, in Star Wars. It's pretty good. It's not the best of the best of MMO PvP, but it's pretty good, I would say, for like arena style PvP. There's unranked and ranked. In the unranked, there are game styles where you can it's 8v8. You queue up, you get in there, and one of the best versions of that PvP game style is what we call Hutball, which is very Star Wars centric. You have to learn about it. You have to look into it. It's a fun, unique thing to Star Wars. But there's other ones that are like more deathmatchy or King of the Hill kind of things or capture the flag kinds of things. So that's the unranked, and then the ranked is very hardcore. My team, either my 4 people against your team of 4, or of like a formed team or a randomly put together team of 4 versus 4 in a slightly smaller arena. PvP starts at level 10. You can get a lot of experience. You can level up just by doing PvP. If you're into PvP, that's something you can just wallow in and have a lot of fun with in Star Wars. There are a few brackets. So at the lower levels, you're not going to have very many abilities. You're going to get killed a lot, but there's a lower bracket. So as you hit about level 25, you're going to be at the upper end of the lower bracket. You're going to do okay. So even lower level PvP can be fine that way. Um, in so yeah, but only do it if you feel like it, if you feel like you want to have fun with it. It's not required. It can help you, or I mean, you could level doing it, but you don't need to. It's not integral to the game. You could skip it completely if you want. Another version of that, SEMA. I mean, do you want to describe it? Because this is probably
Yeah.
your least.
uh, Galactic Starfighter. So it's also a PvP style activity in that you are playing against other players. You can start GSF at level 1, and it's completely independent. I mean, yeah, being level 1 will put you at no disadvantage just because of your level. You'll be disadvantaged because it's kind of a steep learning curve. You're flying ships and not flying into asteroids and shooting other people and not getting disoriented. That all takes learning. But what makes you more and more strong in GSF is how you upgrade your crew and your ship in the game. So you could be level 1 and stay level 1 and still be fantastic at GSF, right?
Yes. So the leveling of your ships in GSF is completely separate from leveling your character and your abilities and how strong you are as a character. Um, it is it is a very yeah, a steep learning curve, but for some people, they love it. It's a really fun.
Yeah.
It's fighter ships, and there's different classes of ships and different things you can do them. There's only 2 game modes. One is like a like a capture the points, king of the hill. If like 3 points, there's 3 big satellites, and you're defending 2 of them, and you're scoring points. The other one is sort of a big deathmatch, team versus team. But with the different ship types and different ship abilities, there's a little bit of complexity and things to unlock. There is a steep learning curve to learning how to even fly your ship, not crash into asteroids, figure out which way is sort of like up and down, even though there's no up and down in space. How to target, because you can't even kill something unless you're targeting it correctly. I found my recommendation is, if you really want to experience GSF and learn it, expect to play at least a dozen matches before you're over the beginner baseline learning curve of even figuring out how to fly your ship. Then you'll be at the point where you can start leveling up the abilities on your ship and making them more powerful. I can take a new character now because I know how GSF works. A level 1 character with 0 ships, 0 unlocked, and I can do middle of the pack damage with with a couple of the ship types. Completely noob, no, a completely unlocked ship. So you're not starting at like nothing. You're not completely worthless. There will be people that will do 10 times as much damage as you, but that's most people will only be doing like the same or twice as much damage as you. So
And it's possible in both of these types of PvP to do private matches. I mean, the
yeah,
ability does exist in the game. So that's always a possibility
and that's a great way
too
to
for,
learn, and your
yeah.
guild can help you with that. So some of those kinds of extra systems, I want to PvP, I want to use GSF, or I want to play with my crew skills and, learn to build lightsabers for my friends, even if we're all only level 10. Experiment with them if you want. That's completely fine. But you don't have to. None of that is required. You can do fine completely without it. But do it if you want. Only 2 other quick things that I had on the list as we're wrapping up here. The other one is there's a housing system in the game that has some really, really interesting, fun perks associated with it, and it's called strongholds. There's on each side, on the Imperial side and the Republic side, there's one very cheap one. I think it's like 5,000 credits to unlock, and I think as soon as you get to level 15, you'll see a quest available on the fleet that'll say, hey, here you can use your prosperity as do I have that voiceover somewhere? I'm sure I do somewhere that says there's a whole little speech that he'll give you about how using your stronghold to show off your stuff and blah blah blah. It's really important to use your prosperity as a weapon. to show your enemies how prosperous you are, to talk about Tres Camus and gloat about how many credits you have because you're that kind of person. We don't know anybody like that. But you get that stronghold. What it really gives you is a couple things like legacy storage. Legacy storage is like across all your characters. Here's like a special bank, so set of bank slots where I could put stuff in, and I could go to my other character and I could take that stuff out, or I can put credits in there and I could go to my second character, my second character that I just created, and I could take some of those credits out. So now my level 1 character has, 10,000 credits at level 1. Wow, that's pretty cool. Legacy storage gets more and more important at the end of the game because all of your gear can start to be shared amongst all of your characters in really important ways. That's a very complex system. We won't get into that right now, but legacy storage, you need a stronghold to be able to get to it. There are access to legacy storage just on the fleet as long as you have a stronghold. But you can then put a legacy storage box, which you get when you unlock your stronghold, in your stronghold where you want it. And you can arrange it, and you can put it over next to the wall, and you can put whatever, you can put decorations in there. And there's thousands of decorations in the game these days. You can have a whole bunch of fun playing Sim Star Wars where you just dress up your character and you just decorate your strongholds and just have a whole bunch of fun with that. I mean, we told you about an event on the server that a streamer is conducting today, was just about decorating strongholds. But is it required? No. Is it something to experiment with? Yeah. Another thing we've talked a ton about is things like swoop racing, and that's the last point. Do you want to go over this one, Seema?
So every couple of weeks there's an event running. So there's a number of them that repeat all the time. So you can participate in those, usually starting at a pretty low level. So there's swoop racing is one. There's one called Bounty Contract Week where you get to be a bounty hunter for those missions. And
whatever class you are, you just go tracking down some bad guys.
Yeah, right. No matter what, you could be you're in the middle of saving the galaxy in your class story, but you can take some time off and track down some bad guys and make a little money on the side. But those things are good for rep. They're good for credits. They're oftentimes have items that you can buy with the currency that you earn doing their missions. Probably my favorite one. Well, I don't know. I kind of like swoop racing right now, but probably one of my favorite ones is when the Gree come, because I don't know, I just think they have the best daily quests, and also they have a lair boss, which I love. So we are always killing that lair boss whenever they're here. But they also have a very colorful way of talking. But there's one that is a Rakghoul invasion, which is Star Wars: The Old Republic's version of zombies, basically. Yeah, so those are fun side things you can do.
Yeah. Again, not required, but pretty much every other week now, every second week, there's an event going on, and you can get a lot of XP out of them. Almost all the rewards that you would get out of them would be in the cosmetic category, but it could be pets, it could be gear, outfits, it could be mounts, like speeder bikes or different really cool things that you could be driving around. It could be weapons. And again, it's sort of like the shell for your weapon, the style of the weapon. The Gree have some of the best weapons in the game from a style perspective, and you can level them up with you as you go. Something to get a hold of. Our guild always is doing events, guild events around the in-game events. And there's even a couple holiday ones. We've got Life Day that comes up at the end of the year around December. That's sort of special. So keep an eye out for those. Those are a fun thing too. So there's a lot of those side things. That sort of wraps up our last tip, and sort of wraps up all of this. There's the core things, which is pick what you want, play what you want, play the story. And then there's a bunch of these side things that there's just not a lot to really worry about. And you're not going to get behind or do something wrong in Star Wars. either by not doing something or by doing something. If you want to go start crafting at level 1, go ahead, do it. If you want to just start Galactic Starfighter at level 1 because it looks kind of cool and you get into it, do it. Just not it's not going to hurt you. You're not going to make a wrong choice. And here, I Comcast just kicked me out of the game, so I get to see I have 34 characters on Starforge alone, and you'll just if you don't like what you're playing, you'll roll another character. You can play all the classes. You can try them all out. The learning curve, the leveling curve, the time to level is relatively short. You're not going to do anything wrong. Play what you like. Have fun. Play the story.
Right. You can
Um,
play one character and do everything on it, or you can play lots of different characters and compartmentalize. It's up to you. You can do however you want.
yes. All right, extra long. I know we went long in like news and guild news too. Little bit extra long of a podcast for us. Hopefully you got some tips out of this. A lot of really great detailed content out there for new players. This was our spin on 10 tips for how we would recommend our unique spin for what new players would do, and of course, to come back to one of our top tips there. Join a good guild like Alea Iacta Est. So with that, our EPC 348 droid here, that means 348th episode, is going to get kicked out an airlock to broadcast this podcast to all of you out there. Keep up with us. Come ask us questions on Twitter at Max the Gray and at AIESEMA. And if you know anybody should be playing with us, like you, if you're a new person, you want to come join our guild, check us out at aie-guild.org. Right there in the upper right of that guild website, aie-guild.org, you will find our Discord link. You can get into Discord, just drop down in the SWTOR channel or in the LFO looking for officer channel and say, hey, I got a character on Starforge. I'd love to jump in there and check out your guild. Hey, and I've got this question. I was thinking of rolling a Jedi Knight, but I see there's two different kinds. There's like this Guardian and there's this Sentinel. What should I do? Which should I go after? We'll answer anything you want to ask, as many questions you want to ask. Come do it. That's what we're for. That's how we roll. We do that across all of our games. If you play lots of MMOs, this is a great place to be if you're new to any or all of them. We are on Starforge, just to be clear, aie-guild.org. Come check us out. We would love to have you. And with that, we will talk to you soon.
Later, everyone.